I've never really considered myself an athlete, but I have done sports pretty much my whole life. And I ran 3 marathons in my 20s and 30s, which are really big accomplishments, and yet I still didn't feel like an athlete or identify as an athlete. And I had no strength. I could commit to a running program, I could commit to the idea of being healthy, but I didn't train like an athlete. As I said, I didn't identify as an athlete, and I didn't see myself as an athlete. So when I first flirted with the idea of doing CrossFit, I assumed it was a program for athletes and thus excluded me. My neighbors were very committed to CrossFit and clearly enjoying the benefits of CrossFit. They just seemed very passionate about it. I remember watching them change their diet and their lifestyle during the IM challenge, and it just seemed like they were a part of something bigger than themselves. And I think, if anything, that's what I was looking for, was this idea that I wasn't going to work out to be thin or to have a better body or to say I worked out. I wanted to be a part of something that was larger than myself, and that inspired me in a way that was beyond any aesthetic accomplishment. I remember my first day. I remember my first week. The first day it was 6 400s, so I was like, oh my God, I totally got this. I'm a runner. And I had looked at the workout beforehand, so I felt psyched. But then when we got here, you know, every class begins with the same warm-up, and I was completely annihilated by the warm-up, and thought, this is the time for me to bow out and go home. I can't do 30 push-ups, I can't do 30 squats, a punter kick. I mean, I remember specifically getting nauseous during rotations, which was as embarrassing of a revelation. So I was winded and humiliated by the warm-ups, and my second CrossFit class, I fell over doing a back squat, which was really scary and totally mortifying. And I think the third class, we did pull-ups, and my very sweet, kind coach just told me to jump off of a box, and I was mortified. I had no strength. I was totally out of my comfort zone. I was scared. I was intimidated by the workouts, and I can't believe I kept showing up. And the only reason I did was because every single woman in my class seemed to think I was doing great, and I was exactly feeling as I should, and there was no reason to be embarrassed, and everybody had a brutal start, and my success was showing up. And so for the first couple months, I decided that the only thing I was going to focus on was getting my ass here at 6:15, and if I did that, then any other accomplishment was a bonus. I definitely went through a period of thinking my coach was probably going to kick me down to a beginner's group. And then something happened. I think I got a PR on a deadlift, which I didn't even know what a deadlift was beforehand. But I got a PR, and everybody was so thrilled for me, and I was so thrilled for me, and then it just got its hooks in me, and I started being able to do stuff I literally couldn't have conceived of before. And it was thrilling in a way that nothing else in my life thrilled me. It felt like very, very, very personal accomplishments to go from the green band to the blue band on a pull-up, or to go from the 12-inch box to the 20-inch box to the 24-inch box. Like, I couldn't believe that I was getting up the nerve to try these things, even if I'd first failed. And like I said, they were very individual accomplishments, but they were so acknowledged and cheered by my coach and by the women in my class that it was just such a big deal to leave a place at 7 a.m. in the morning and feel like a total badass, and that just started my day off. And it was a really proud moment when my husband joined CrossFit 6 months later, and there was a nerdy phase where a lot of what we talk about is CrossFit. A lot of my proudest moments of him involve his accomplishments in CrossFit. I love seeing my husband take care of himself. I love seeing him develop this sense of pride that has nothing to do with me, but we share. And we have a 3-year-old daughter who, I mean, she can do push-ups and squats and burpees with the best of them. And this is dumb, but our cat died, and it was a profound conversation in our house of death. And the morning after our cat died, she woke me up and asked me when I was going to die. And I didn't know how to properly answer at first, but I finally said, well, not for a really long time. And she said, why? And I said, because I take such good care of myself, and I exercise, and I eat right, and I just want to be around forever. And I felt like none of those things were lies. Like, I really do feel like, as parents, as people approaching our 40s, like, I just think my husband and I are treating ourselves with such respect, and that's a way to live. I consider myself an athlete who is capable of things I never would have thought. And so if I can, I mean, I'm mortified of a handstand walk. Like, I hate the idea of a handstand walk. I hate the idea of going upside down. I remember when I first did it, all I could tell my coach was, all I do is picture myself crumbling down like a building. And I finally just tried it, and I didn't crumble down like a building, and I got up there, and I just think I think there's something to be said for trying, and I try in all areas of my life now. I risk failing, and I've failed so many times in there, and it's fine. And eventually I succeed, and I have that in my whole life now, that it's really no big deal to fail. And that's a super empowering thing to discover at 38. And it's so strange that it would be triggered by a 45-minute workout, and yet it is. And sometimes I drive by gyms and I see people late at night on a Stairmaster, and I just think it doesn't have to be lonely like that, and it doesn't have to be a chore, and it doesn't have to be goal-oriented in I just want to lose 5 pounds before this beach vacation. I can't imagine ever treating my health like that again, as an obligation. CrossFit was closed for a week for spring break, and I honestly felt untethered. I really need this as an anchor in my life, and it's not because I want to be skinny or because I have nothing else to do. It's because I want to try my hardest at least 3 times a week, and this forces me to do that, and I leave here happier and better. I honestly feel like I leave here more excited about what else the day will bring, and that's not about going to a gym. It's the first time in my life I'm ever doing something and I'm in the present moment. I'm doing this. On Friday, we did a 5-minute WOD. It was 5 box jumps, 10 games push-ups. And that 5 minutes is probably the only 5 minutes of my day that was strictly about my exertion and ability to give everything I could in that 5 minutes. I wasn't worried about my job. I wasn't worried about money. I wasn't worried about my child. I wasn't worried about where we're going to live next year. I just was going from 8 to 9 to 10 push-ups so I can get back up on the box. That is my goal, is to commit myself to those 5 minutes, to commit myself to a 20-minute WOD or a 12-minute WOD. And what that allows me to do when I'm not here is I really want to take a dance class. I'm a terrible dancer. I could not imagine anything more uncomfortable than me in a hip hop dance class, but I did climb a rope and that was okay, and I did a thruster, and I did a snatch over my head even after I fell once, and that was okay. So I'm gonna just sign up for a dance class, and my goal is maybe one day I will compete in a fittest games contest. I don't need to win it, but I would like to get up the nerve to compete just because it sounds fun and it sounds hard, and those are my two favorite words to describe CrossFit. It's really fun, it's really hard. So my goal is I can't imagine ever not doing CrossFit. Why would I deprive myself of this experience? But I'm open to the idea that it'll allow me to shoot for new goals and do more stuff in my life that's fun and hard, and that's all I need. I don't need anything more from CrossFit. I just kind of feel like I want to give more of myself.